hearing all these experts in marketing tell you that you have to start to share your stories, that the most powerful way that you can actually create a connection with your audience is through your storytelling so that they can actually know, like, and trust you. And yet you're kind of sitting there thinking you have absolutely no stories to tell and nothing interesting to say at all. Now, if this is you, then you are in luck, because by the end of this video, you are going to have my foolproof system on determining whether you are in fact a storyteller, and if so, how to make it really, really simple for you to start actually telling your stories. I am an e-commerce sales coach helping hundreds of female entrepreneurs just like you grow their e-commerce business. And now, for the best advice on growing your own e-commerce business using the Viralocity formula, subscribe to my channel and hit the bell to be notified every time I post a new video on Thursdays. And today I'm going to walk you through my 3 secrets on becoming a storyteller so you never run out of content. Now, I'm going to start with this thought. Everyone has a story to tell. Yes, even you. And I'm going to be taking you through the 3 secrets to claiming your own stories so that you can start telling them. And by the end of this, you'll know how to claim your stories as a storyteller. Now, the first secret is that you have to ask the right questions. Now, I remember when I was in corporate, I was in a 9-to-5, and for a period of time, I was stationed on the same floor as the CEO, and I was working in a bank, and I was on my desk was actually on the same floor as the CEO, Greg. And I used to be one of the first people to get in really, really early. And I'd always be making my breakfast in the kitchen. And every now and then Greg would come in and he'd be making his coffee. Now, I have a lot of respect for Greg. Super smart, super focused, and also probably not a typical CEO. I mean, he was in terms of knowing numbers inside and out, but he wasn't in terms of the fact that he was an introvert and really actually quite an awkward conversationalist, right? Was not a natural at that. So just imagine the 2 of us introverts in the kitchen, one super senior but awkward, and me wanting to just get the heck out of there before I said something really stupid or really silly. And we're just, awkwardly shuffling around the kitchen. And then I thought, well, this is a bit dumb. I need to break the ice. And so I asked him how he was. Just a general question. Surely with this general question, I wouldn't be sounding silly or stupid or anything like that. And, he was polite back and he said, yep, I'm good. And then he left. Okay, so to me, in my mind, solid interaction, right? Now, the next day, it was the same thing. I'd ask him how he was doing, and he said he was good, and then he'd leave. So this went on day after day until finally I decided to change it up a little bit, and I decided to ask him a more specific question. So instead of, how are you doing today? I asked him, what did you do over the weekend? Right? Nothing groundbreaking, just a different question. And so he started telling me about his weekend, the places he went to, the people he saw, hanging out with his family. And so I started asking him more and more detailed questions about those places, about those people. And we had a real conversation. And funnily enough, we actually got to know each other a little bit, quite a bit well, and as much as you can in 10 minutes in the kitchen every morning. And I got to know some of his stories about the time he held a party in his newly renovated basement, and about the fact that he's in a band. Like, what? About his son struggling with school. And now I have so much respect for him, not because he knows how to run a business effectively, but because he can do that while being very human. And the only way that I got to know this was because I started asking the right questions. I know when I first started thinking I needed to tell my stories, I would try to look at my whole life and be like, okay, what's something interesting I can talk about, right? And that got really, really overwhelming. Like, how overwhelming is that? Definitely not the right question to be asking. So then I started chunking it down. I started asking myself about a specific person or a specific place or a specific thing. I started asking myself about firsts. The first time that Ash and I met, the first time I got a pet, the first time I realized something important. I started thinking about times I felt really strong emotions, the times I felt really upset or overwhelmed or down on myself or like I was a failure. And also the times that I was euphoric, I helpful and loved. I started picking these moments in time in my life because I started asking myself the right questions. So this is the first secret, guys. Start asking yourself the right questions about specific moments in time, and you will start giving yourself the right answers about those stories. And those answers that you're going to get, they are going to be linked to some kind of story, because our lives are just a sequence of stories, right? That's it. That's what our lives are made up of. They're just a sequence of stories. So every time you ask yourself the right question, you are going to get an answer back that is going to be in the form of a story. Okay, let me know, guys, if that makes sense. Let me know in the comments. Now, the second secret is to start to build up this bank of stories. Okay, write them down. And the best way for you to write them down is, anywhere really. Like, it could be in a notebook, a journal, it could be your phone. I actually have a document that every time it's on my phone, I come across a story, I sort of type it really quickly, and I have a running list. And even if you're not a typer, if you're not a writer, then start recording. Just record it on your phone. And how I like to actually write them down so that I remember them is kind of like episode titles, and specifically like the episode titles of Friends. Kind of like the one where the monkey gets away, the one with fake Monica, the one with the breast milk, the one with the five steaks and an eggplant, the one with the baby on the bus, right? Like, that's seriously the easiest way that I found to do it, by writing it down as the one with. And so you can literally just keep a running list of these stories. And you might even have noticed at the beginning of this training that I was rattling off some of the stories I've told already. That's how I did it. I did it that way. And if you've done some of my past training, then you would know some of the stories I told, right? The one about how I got Puffington, the one about just moving out with my boyfriend and realizing we had to be adults and cook a big pot of pasta, the one about my secret shame, watching the Kardashians. Like, I have all of these stories, and I hope that you guys notice that's what I tell in these trainings. So that's it, right? The second secret is to build up that bank of stories by writing them down. And when you write them down, the easiest way to prompt yourself when you want to use them is to write it as the one with. Okay, is that cool, guys? Let me know if this is making sense. How cool is that? Like, it's so awesome. This secret itself saved me so much time and being stuck for inspiration. Okay, so now that you are full of stories because you're finally asking yourself the right questions. You're writing them down. You're building up this bank, and you're keeping track of them like you're the writer of your own Friends TV show. And so the third and last secret is how to choose the right story to actually tell. Okay, now, have you ever been told a story and you're kind of left thinking, what exactly was the point of that? Like, it didn't connect with you or the point that it was trying to make, or you didn't quite get it. And now this is why choosing the right story is actually really important, because you want your stories to connect with your audience, and you want them to be relevant to the message that you're actually trying to share, that you're trying to highlight. Okay, so how do we do this? The first is that it needs to be for your hero. Now, if you missed some of my previous training, I talk about the characters of your story, okay? And one of them is the hero, and that is always going to be your audience or your customer, right? That your customer is going to be the hero of your story. So I won't go into that now, but you can go find the training in my YouTube channel, and I'll point to it at the end of this training as well. So when you choose and you position your story, you want to always keep in mind that the number one thing that you need to do is to make it really relevant for your hero, okay, for your customer. So even if you have an extraordinary story, you need to make it relevant to your hero by starting with the ordinary, okay? Have it connect with them. Because right now, they are in the shoes that you were in at the start of the story, before you became extraordinary, okay? When you were just ordinary, and this is how you connect with them. So you always have to start there. And the second thing, when you're choosing the right story, is that you have to ensure that it ties to a message, a moment, a realization, something that you're trying to highlight with your story, okay? And ensure that your story actually leads into that message. You want to actually make sure that you say it, expressly say it, actually say the words such as, and what it made me realize, or what I learned from this is XYZ. Okay, let me know, guys, if this makes sense. This is really important because, again, people, I know that we like to think that like people are smart. I'm not gonna deny that, but sometimes we're thinking so much as we're hearing that we don't necessarily make the connections that you wanted us to. So that's why it's really important for you just to say what that connection is. Okay, so to quickly recap, these are the 3 secrets to claim your stories as a storyteller so that you can actually start telling them. Okay, so the first secret is ask yourself the right questions. Ask yourself about a specific place, a specific person, a thing, right? Ask yourself about firsts. Ask yourself about when you felt strong emotions, positive or negative, and choose specific moments in time. Now, the second secret is to build up that bank of stories, right? Write them down. Write them down in a notebook, in a journal, on your phone, right? Wherever it makes the most sense to you. And write them down like you're titling episodes of a TV show, starting with the one with. Okay, and then the third secret is choose the right stories to tell. Choose stories that are relevant to your hero, first of all, to your customer, and make sure that it ties to a message, a moment, a realization that you are trying to highlight through that story. Okay, so with that said, comment below and let me know what questions are you now going to start to ask yourself to come up with these stories. Let me know in the comments. Now you know exactly how to become a storyteller of your dreams, right? So you never ever have to run out of content using my foolproof 3 secret method. But what about implementing? I have actually written a 1-page cheat sheet on what I've just spoken about so that you can have that on hand as you're implementing and if you need a refresher. So if you want that cheat sheet, just click on the link below and my bot, D the bot, will send it straight over to you. And if you want to take what you've just learnt to the next level, then come and join my free community of amazing female entrepreneurs just like you, where I share even more free live training on growing your e-commerce business. So just join my Facebook group on the link below. So go check out this video next on how to actually tell your stories, and then this one down here on how to plan your content in less than 30 minutes. And if you like this video, hit the like button, be sure to subscribe and tell all your friends about it. And I cannot wait to see you in the next video.